So a little bit of setup. The first thing that we're going to go over is I'm going to show you guys the end state goal. What I mean by that is what a fully marked up document looks like with a bunch of different takeoffs and a lot of information on it. And then we'll kind of work backwards and then work up to that point, and I'll show you how we get there. And to start with that, you got to start by setting a scale on your documents. As you know, if your scale isn't right in the beginning, ain't nothing going to be right, so to speak. So we'll talk about how you set the scale for your documents. And then we're going to talk a little bit about viewports. You might be familiar with this term from other CAD applications, and it has a very similar meaning when applied to Bluebeam Revu. Essentially, it will let you set up multiple scales within the same page, and I'll show you why that is useful and how to do that. Next, big one is the tool chest. So we're going to spend some time talking about how to create and customize your measurement markups for takeoffs. Then we'll discuss how you save them into a tool chest to keep them all organized, and then also how to share this tool chest with your friends, family, and colleagues. I don't know about friends and family; they may not be interested, but your colleagues at least. And then we're going to show how you can set up custom columns to add additional important data to your markups. So without further ado, let me stop talking about the software and let me show you the software. So hold on, let me get out of PowerPoint real quick. Bear with me while I move my stuff around. Okay. All right. So here we have, this is like I said, first we're going to show you the completed document with a number of takeoffs and measurements already on it. You can see here I have this document open already. It's called Takeoff for what should be obvious reasons, and it has a number of on this one. This is the finished floor plan drawing, so you can see that I have a number of different area markups here. Area markups are one of the kinds of measurements that you can create using Bluebeam. Let me go ahead and open up my markup list and show you what that looks like as well. Look at all that beautiful data. We got everything organized into subjects, so I know what kind of floor we're using here. If I click on any of these markups on the page, it'll take me right to that particular markup in the list. It's a beautiful thing. So look at this. We got all our data here. We got a bunch of different columns. Some of them are not as useful, but I digress. We'll go into that in a little bit. So this is what a completed document full of takeoffs is going to look like, right? We've got multiple area markups here. We've got some count markups here, counting the what is this? That's a return diffuser. Cool. That's a switch. Awesome. So a number of different count markups here on this reflected ceiling plan. On the site plan, we have also some more area markups. This time for the grounds and exterior. Over here we have the plumbing layout. So you can see that we have a number of different plumbing takeoffs being done here. Again, selecting any of them will give you more information about it by highlighting it in the markup list. So this is our waste line. This red one is our hot water line. That makes sense. Red, right? Plumbers in the chat. Blue is cold water. Again, makes sense. So this is all great. This all makes sense. And clearly we spent people spent some time and set this up the proper way so that when you make your markups, it all makes sense. Next is mechanical. We have a number of different duct sizes here. You can see over here we have a 36 by 30. Again, click on the trying to click. There we go. 36 by 30 denoted there. other different duct sizes, 30 by 16, 30 by 16, etc. And last but not least, we have our electrical layout. So this is getting counts of other electrical items. So here we have the duplex receptacle count. We have our quad receptacle count. And I'll show you how to set all of this fun stuff up so that when you're doing your markups, it will make sense and look nice and organized like this. But first things first, gotta set the scale. If your scale is not set correctly, then all of your measurements will consequently not be correct. So let's let me get out of my marked up document and let's go to my empty finished floor plan document. Same floor plan. Just this is a clean one, not marked up or anything like that. And before we get into the into setting the scale, one thing I like to do is to go to tools, toolbars, and by default it is not on the status bar. I like to turn on the status bar, and what that does is that creates this little bar with the number of icons over here on the bottom. Just gives you some more information, some more buttons to push, more switches to flip, etc. So where do we set the scale? There's a few places to set the scale, actually. One way is in the thumbnails panel, which is this little these little four boxes, sometimes on the left hand side. If you need help finding your thumbnails panel, you can find it under Window, Panels, and then Thumbnails right there. So this is where all the panels live in case you ever lose them. Window, Panels over here. And you can see over here that right underneath the thumbnail of the page, you can see it already has a scale set. 1 inch equals 8 feet. You can turn that on or off by clicking on this little icon up top. You turn off the page scale. That just shows up. That just turns on and off the display. It doesn't actually unset the scale. All right. So to set the scale, what we can do is double click on that little scale icon. You can also go to the bottom right corner of the document, where right now it says 1 inch equals 8 feet. If there were no scale set currently, it would say scale not set. Either way, you can go ahead and click on that too to open this up. So just different ways to set the scale. Once the set scale window is open, you can choose whether to set that scale for every page, for just the current page, or a custom range of pages. Obviously, that's more, useful on a document that has multiple pages. In this case, this is just one document with one page, so I'll just keep it at current. And then next, you're going to want to select the scale. So you have two options here. The first is a preset option. So in this case, we happen to know that the scale of this page is 1 inch equals 8 feet. Sometimes documents will be nice and they'll give you a scale somewhere in the title block. This one is not, but we do know that I know that it's 1 inch equals 8 feet. So we can set that from preset over here. 1 inch equals 8 feet. But what if we did not happen to know that? What if this was a document that I had never seen before? Well, what we could do is we can go to custom and then click on calibrate. And this will ask me to select 2 points of a known dimension, and that will set the scale accordingly. So I can hit calibrate. So select 2 points of a known dimension to calibrate measurement tools. Hit OK. One thing that I like to do in the status bar, and this is why I turned it on, is to turn on which one is it? Snap to content. So let me, without snap to content on, well, okay, snap to mark. All right, it's still snapping. All right, let me go back to my calibrate. Okay, well, all right. It's still doing it, but maybe it does it automatically now. But I like to turn snap to content on so that this little square will snap my cursor to this particular line. I was going to try to show you without it on, but it still seems to snap to it anyway. Maybe it does it automatically now for calibrating the scale. It didn't used to, so that might be new. I don't know, making me look silly. No, I'm just kidding. I do well enough of that on my own. Anyway, I happen to know that the distance between all of these demarcations is 30 feet. So what I can do is I can click here. You can also hold down the shift key to lock your line to 45 degrees, just like Paint or other. I think AutoCAD too, Revit also. Anyway, you select the other side of that that line, and you say 30 feet. Hit apply scale, and now let's see. Always useful to do a sanity check, as I like to call it. Once you set the scale, you just do a quick length markup. Yeah, 30 feet. Looks good. Okay. So that is how you set the scale for one whole page. But sometimes you have a page that has multiple scales on the same page. So this is pretty common when you're looking at maybe like different profiles, like maybe a top-down perspective and then a side profile in a drawing. Also in detail pages. So for example, a page like this where, with the accessibility details, right, where each one of these detail sections has its own scale. You can see nicely noted over here. They also have a number of dimensions that we could use to calibrate their scales as well. So how do you deal with a situation like this where you want multiple scales on the same page? Well, that's what we use, what I mentioned before. It's called viewports. So over here on my measurements panel, which is the little ruler looking icon. So click on measurements, and then right there at the bottom is the viewports section. So what I'll do is I'll click the plus button. It's going to ask me to select a region to define the viewport. Hit OK. And then so I'll go up here to this first one in the top left, draw a box around it. Okay. The first item is label. So it's asking me to make a name for it. You could, by default, it'll just be called viewport. You could call it viewport 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. But I think it makes more sense to call it by the detail title. So I'll call this one multiple toilet 1. I know that the scale is 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. So I'll select that from the drop down and I'll hit apply. So now any measurements in this viewport will abide by the scale set in the measurements panel, which you can also change using this drop down here as well. So again, to set another one, let's say this one's 3/8 equals 1 foot. So we'll click plus here, draw our little boxy, select 3/8 equals 1 foot, hit apply, and now my scale is applied. I know I did not change the viewport label, so I can go ahead and do that here very easily. Double click, right? Just right from the panel. Call it lavatory clearance detail 1. Hit enter. You're good to go. All right, and then rinse and repeat for however many different viewports you have in a drawing. And then when you place a markup, a measurement markup in that viewport, it will abide by that scale. So let's just real quick sanity check. Like I said, bing, bong. Beautiful. Look at that. And then let's see this one. What's that supposed to be? 32. Okay. Oh, 32 min. All right, let's try this one. It's got to be right. Yeah, 5 feet. Okay. Cool. Yeah, makes sense. So in addition to setting the viewports, what's very, very important is your markup list. Now, your markup list is going to have all of the important data that you want in your markups. So I have this profile set up, and profiles are what save the different column information that you want to portray in your markups. So to access your profiles, you go to Review in the top left. Go to Profiles. You can see I have a number of different profiles set up. Right now, I'm on the Quantity Takeoff profile, but let me switch over to my other profile that I was working on for this presentation, which I just called Regular Takeoff. Switch to that, and you can see how the columns change. I don't have nearly as much information here. That's because I wanted to use this profile as a demonstration profile to show you how to set that all up. So if I wanted to add more information to my profile, I can do that from this right here from my markups list. So you click on this markups list drop down, go to columns, and here you can see a number of the built-in columns that are available to you built into Bluebeam. All of these will contain information about the markup. Since we're going to be working with takeoffs, let me turn on some of the ones that I think will be the most relevant. So for example, length and area, we're going to want to take. You'll notice that there are some somewhat redundant columns. So for example, we have area and wall area. Wall area is very, very specific. So you don't really necessarily need to worry about that. Just worry about the columns that make the most sense to you. So from here, we can also create custom columns to include even more relevant information. To do this, we go all the way down. We select Manage Columns. So we'll open up this column window. The first section is just about the display order of the built-in columns. Not super relevant for anything. But what we really are concerned with is this second option for custom columns. So I'm going to go over here. And now I have my custom columns list, which is currently blank. So let's go ahead and let's add a few. So I'll add one custom column. Give a name for the custom column. In this case, we're going to want to track our unit costs. So, I'll just make a column called unit cost. I'm going to change the type. It's going to be a number because it's a cost. Pardon me. A format. I'm going to make it currency since we're talking about monies. Decimal place is 2, currency symbol dollars. Great. You can even include default minimum, maximum, and default values. We're going to leave those blank for now, but they are an option that you can take advantage of. Okay. So we'll hit OK. And now I have my unit cost column over here. I'm going to add another one. This one I'm going to make, I'm going to call this one total cost. Right? So we have unit cost and total cost, right? So how do we find out the total cost based on the unit cost? Well, it's a pretty simple formula. It's unit cost multiplied by the number of total units to get the total cost. So to reflect that, we can change the type over here. We'll change the type to formula. Formula is pretty cool. It's similar to creating like an Excel formula. So format, we're going to change to currency again to reflect the fact that we're measuring in dollars. And over here in expression, if I click on that, it'll drop down a number of variables that I can take advantage of. In this case, let's use the the information from the unit cost column that we just created. So we'll go unit cost. We'll use the asterisk symbol to, just like Excel, to reflect the fact that we're multiplying. And then we'll do that multiplied by the count measurement for whatever that particular markup is. When we have a count of it, we'll have a total quantity. We can assign then the unit cost, and it will create or calculate the total cost based on the count and the unit cost. So hit OK. And now I have my second custom column listed over there. And then down here, very important. This is why I showed you how to mess with your profiles a little bit just before. To apply the custom columns to new PDF documents, make sure you click Save to Profile. Hit OK. And now these columns are saved to my profile, and they will be visible in new PDF documents when I am using this new profile that I created. So I'll hit OK. And there are my unit cost and total cost columns. So let me go over to my electrical plan. And because I saved that to my profile, those unit cost, total cost columns are maintained, and they still show up in this other PDF document. Okay. So now what's also important is creating tool sets that make sense for your markups and your takeoffs. All right. So again, I created this profile essentially as a blank profile so that we can kind of build it up from the ground up. So what I'll do here on my electrical layout is I'm going to create some count tools for the different switches and receptacles and stuff that I have here. So let me make a tool set to contain those. So to do that, I'll go over here to my tool chest panel, which is the little toolbox or lunch. And it looks kind of like one of those old timey lunch boxes to me, but to each their own. I like to think of it as a lunchbox. Maybe I'm just hungry. So we go over here to our tool chest panel. Now to think about tool sets, your tool chest is like, think about your like the tools in your garage or your work shed, right? The tool chest is the entire tool chest containing all of your tools, and the tool sets represent the different drawers for different tools. So you want to try to keep those organized so that you know where they all are. You try to keep the ones that are relevant to each other together. To create a new tool set, we click on the tool chest drop down here, go to manage tool sets. This opens up the manage tool sets window. Click on add. We're going to create a new tool set. We'll call this one, let's call it electrical switches and receptacles. There we go. I don't know. You can call it whatever you want. For this example, we'll call it electrical switches and receptacles. Cool. So hit OK. It's going to ask you where you want to save the profile to. Just save it in the default location. And now you see switched on. Hit OK, and you can see my empty electrical switches and receptacles here. So now I'm going to create a new count tool for my my different switches. So I will go up here to tools, to measure, and I will select count. Okay. By default, the default icon for a count measurement is the checkbox, but we can change that by going up here into the dynamic properties panel or properties bar, and we could select from triangle, squares, circles, or even diamonds. Cool. You can also create custom count symbols, which if we have time later, I can show you. But for the interest of time, we'll just stick to these basic ones here. So for switches, let's call it. Let's use a triangle. And let's make it a different color. Let's make it like a nice turquoise blue. Okay. So I'll place my count markup over my my switch or receptacle. I forget which one. I think that's receptacle. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So okay, I'll place one, I'll place two. Hit enter to confirm, and you can see that the count measurement shows up here in my markups list. But I don't want it to be called count measurement, so I can go ahead and I can double click this, and I'll call this switch type 1. Great. Many times you're not just working with one, for example, one kind of switch. Maybe you got a two panel switch, 3-panel switch, whatever. So in order to quickly create a different kind, what I'll do is I will select this markup. I will right click and I will do copy. And then I will do paste. Okay. And that created a new switch type 1. But instead, what I'll do is I'll go over here into my markups list. And I will call this one switch type 2. And then I will change the color. I will make this one a darker blue. So I'm going to keep the same style, which is triangles in this case, but I'll change the color to denote that it's still a switch, but of a different type. So now I'll do the same thing. I will make another copy paste. Okay, in this case, we're gonna measure, let's say these guys over here, these receptacles. So I'll call this receptacle type 1. Hit enter, and I'll change the icon to a circle. And let me do just a quick copy paste again. So we'll call this one receptacle type 2. And I will change the color of this one to this other color. So now we have our switches, our receptacles, everything is set up. Now that it's set up, what I want to do is I want to save it to my electrical switches and receptacles tool set. So to do that, I am going to change my cursor from the grabber, which lets me pan up, to the selector, which is down here, right here. So now I'm in the select mode. And a little tip, selecting things in Bluebeam is very similar to AutoCAD. If you click and drag from left to right, it will highlight everything that, just everything that's contained. From right to left, it will select just the ones that like it crosses the boundary of. So let me grab everything over here. So grab all of my my markups here. Right click, go down to add to tool chest, and select the electrical switches and receptacles tool chest. And actually, before I do that, I did skip a step. So for that, I apologize. So let me add in here the unit cost for this receptacle. This is why I set up the custom columns before. So double click in the markup list. We'll say that these receptacles are $219 each. These ones will be a little bit more expensive, $325. And then what's neat is you can see the total cost column, updating in real time to reflect the costing that I am adding. So click here, we'll add a switch. This will be $175. And this one we can make this one $225. Okay, so now that information is in there, select all of my markups, right click, add to tool chest, add them to electrical switches and receptacles, and you can see them right there. By default, it does not show what they are unless you hover over it. So if you hover over, it says receptacle type 2. To change that that view setting, all you want to do is click on this little gear icon, switch to detail view, and now you can see you have the subject next to each one. So you have receptacle type 2, switch type 1, receptacle type 1, switch type 2, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So you get a little bit more information that way. And you might have also noticed when I clicked on this little gear icon that you also have the ability to export. This is what I brought up earlier. First, what we're going to want to do is save it. So click on that save button, and then click on export, and it will give you give you the option to export it just as a .btx file, which you can share with your colleagues, put it on a shared network drive, or just send it to them via email. All they have to do is double click it, and it will be added to their Bluebeam profile. Okay, and you can do the same thing with your profiles. So up here in Review Profiles, Manage Profiles, right? Any of these profiles can be exported. Make sure that include dependencies is checked, which will include tool sets and whatnot. Of course, if you don't want to include tool sets, then uncheck it. But if you do, just make sure you click include dependencies, click on export, and just like your tool sets, you can then share these with your colleagues or friends or family if they're interested. Okay, cool. So now let's talk a little bit about the different kinds of markup measurements that we can create. So I just showed you the count measurement. Let me go over to back to my floor plan over here for my floor finishes. There are a few other different types of measurement markups that we can utilize. Over here under tools and measure, I'll just go through them pretty quickly. Length will just be a single length, point A to point B, and that's it. Poly length, very similar to length, except you can do multiple lengths. So instead of from just point A to B, you could do point A to B to C to D to E to F, etc. Area is self-explanatory. It's you draw a polygon and it will calculate the area contained in the polygon. All right, perimeter, very similar to poly length, except perimeter is mostly concerned with the total length of all of the segments, whereas poly length is more concerned with the individual segment length. Diameter, center point radius, and 3-point radius are all for arcs or circle related measurements. You get angle measurements as well for slopes or grading. Volume will essentially give you you add a depth value to an area measurement and it will give you the volume. So pretty basic. Polygon and ellipse cutout are essentially if you wanted to take a chunk out of an existing area measurement, you would use these tools, the count tool, which we just went over, and the dynamic fill tool, which is a more advanced tool that will not be covered in the course of today's presentation. So let's do a quick area measurement. This is the finished floor plan, so you can see that each of these different office partitionings have different floor types. So this one will be carpet type 01, carpet 2, concrete 1. So let me show you how I would start working with this document, assuming that I don't have any area measurements, I don't have anything set up just yet. So the first thing I would do is I would go over to my measurement panel. I'm going to go and click on my area measurement here. Okay. My subject, I'm going to call it carpet 1. I can see I already have a carpet 1 set up from one of my other documents. And now this section represents a little bit of a challenge for Bluebeam. Bluebeam very good at drawing sharp polygonal shapes. And I will show you how to deal with this particular curve over here to get the an accurate measurement. So I'll start over here in this corner. Click here. Draw my line over here to this corner. And now for this is the problem, quote unquote problem corner. Basically what I'll do is when you're doing this, you just want to just kind of get it really rough. So right where it starts to arc is where you want to like make your first node. And then right there at the edge is the other one. Let's try to do my best to find it. Kind of go. Again, we're going to clean this up. Just do the best you can. So like maybe like right here or so. Again, we're going to clean it up. So it doesn't have to be exact. Let's finish drawing my polygon down here. And we complete it by going back to the start up there. Okay, great. So there is my square footage for this office section. Obviously, it's not super accurate because of this section over here. But let's go ahead and I'll show you how to deal with that. So if I hit the escape key to exit out of the markup creation, now I can go over here to this little segment. If I right click on it and click on convert to arc, it will change that segment into an arc that you can control. Right now it's inverted, so I'll grab this control point here and this one over here. And I'll do my best to kind of line that up. Doing my best. Okay, you know what? That's I'm going to say that's pretty close. And so that's how you would deal. That's how you would deal with something something like that. And then you can continue placing your measurement markups, creating different area measurements for each of the different types of flooring. And when you're done, you'll have something that looks a little bit like this. Now, one last thing that I want to go over is how to display this information in a way that makes sense on the page. And we do that with something that's called legends. So we have one up here already. It contains all of the different types of flooring from this page. So let me go ahead and show you how to create that. The easiest way to do that would be to, again, be on your select tool, grab all the markups on the page. Okay. And then you can right click, scroll down to legend. In this case, right now it's already checked because there is already a legend called legend up there. But in this case, let's create a new legend. Okay. So it's asking me where I want to place my legend. So I can place it. I'll place this one up here. Let me get rid of this old one so it's not all confused. So now I have my legend up here. If I go into my properties panel, I can modify the information of this legend and how it's displayed. So if I don't want it to be called legend, I can call it floor types, and then that will update. I can choose different columns to show. So if you had other information that you wanted to show in this, you could show it from here. So for example, I wanted to show the author for whatever reason, I can do that. And you can also change the different fonts and the way it's displayed. So I can give it grid lines. Make sure to turn on the line width. Then you have a nice little legend. that looks like this. Now, last but not least, once you're done doing all of your markups on the drawing, a lot of times you need to take those that markup data, bring it into another program for estimation, whether it's Excel or some other estimating software. You could do that right from the markups list down here. What you want to do is you want to click on the little share icon, select CSV, XML, or PDF summary. In this case, we'll just do a CSV summary. Okay, it'll pop up with this window where you can choose in the column section which columns you want to include, how you want to filter and sort it. In this case, we want to sort by subject, and then we also want to sort by, what we want to do is first we want to sort by the page label so we can keep our pages together. Since this document is broken up into one page is finished floor plan, another page is electrical, we want to keep those together first. So we'll first sort by the page label, and then we'll sort by the subject. And then you can add additional sorting options as you go. Next, in output, you have we're going to keep all of this default for now, but you can choose different output options as well from here. Hit OK. And there we have all of my my markup data here ready to use. And then, of course, you can manipulate all of this data in Excel just as you would, another Excel document. So formulas, filters, sorting, you can do that all from Excel as well. And that brings us to just about the end of the content that I have prepared. So I will open up the floor for any questions. And we do have a few questions already. Regarding the mechanical layout, will Bluebeam be able to do the markups using AI? Oh, dude, that's a great question. So I can tell you that Bluebeam are actively working on implementing AI-based features into Bluebeam. I know for sure that this is something they're working on. I don't know the current progress, but yeah, at some point in the next, I don't know. Brian, yes. So we do have a little bit of time. If you have time, can you show how to create custom counter shapes and blocks? So yeah, great. We do have some time. So when I was at the beginning of the presentation, I was showing you the different types of count symbols that you can use. They are by default limited to check mark, triangle, square, circle, rectangle, or diamond, etc. So to create a custom count symbol, let's say I wanted to use let me find a good example. Okay, let's say I just wanted to use the receptacle symbol as the count symbol, right? So anytime I could place this little count symbol down, and it would represent a count of the receptacle. So to do that, what I would do is I would go to edit, snapshot, use this. This is basically the screen grab tool built into Bluebeam. So it'll ask me to draw a rectangle around what I want to snapshot. So in this case, let's draw a rectangle around this symbol. Great. So now that symbol is copied into my my clipboard, basically, I'll hit escape to exit out of the snapshot selection, hit Control V or edit, paste. There's my symbol. Okay. And so what I'll do is I'll call this receptacle. Let's say call this receptacle type 3. Okay. So now I have receptacle type 3. And what I'll do is I'll save this to my tool chest as receptacle type 3. And then if I right click on it, I can create a count measurement from it. So if you right click on the symbol in your tool chest, it will then create a count measurement based off that symbol, right? And so from there, you can, if you don't want the symbol like just to place, you could just delete that from your tool chest, and now you just have the symbol as a count measurement. So I can place this just like I would my other count measurements, right? I can select that, and I'll actually switch this. I'll change this to back to receptacle type 3, right? So delete those. So now I have my receptacle type 3. Now I place these, and it'll show up in my markups list as receptacle type 3. Shirley, yes, the recording will be provided after the presentation. I believe it'll just take some time for editing, but it should be available shortly after. Harold is asking, could the room lengths and widths be exported as polygons into a geo package? Ooh, unfortunately, I don't think so. I think the export only basically contains this metadata from the markups list, which, let me see. If I switch back over to my other profile, which has more information, bear with me. I mean, I guess you could technically pull the leg. No, I don't think it'll work the way you want it to. That's a good question, though. Is there a way that Bluebeam can autofill a space so that you don't have to click all around the space, i.e. you can auto snap to walls? Yeah, okay. So I said I wasn't going to get into it, but you asked, and ye shall receive. I'm a sucker for that. So basically, I think what they're asking is like, can Bluebeam like autofill a space, and then you tell it what to do with that space? Yes, it can. That's the dynamic fill tool that I that I said that we wouldn't be covering today, and then of course I end up becoming a liar because you asked, and I'll show you. Caveat is that this is only available in the review complete tier. So if you do not have, if you have a review basics or review core subscription, it will not be available to you. So I'm not saying that you don't have to upgrade, but it is only available in the complete tier. And so what this lets you do is this lets you define a space. So I click on this little fill icon. So let's see. This one was carpet 1. So let's take a bunch of other carpet ones. So let's fill in this space here. Let's find another carpet 1 in this corner. Carpet 1. Fill in this space. Let's find another carpet. I'm going to guess this corner too. So yeah, this corner of carpet. Okay, so now that those spaces are all filled in, I can choose what to do with those spaces over here on the right-hand side. So I'll click on this area measurement dropdown. I can select carpet 1 or any of the other area measurements that I have in my tool chest. So I click on carpet 1, I click on apply, and that applies carpet 1 measurement to all of these selected highlighted spaces. And it even was able to get the curve right. So I didn't have to do the whole convert to arc shenanigans. Once the information of the takeoff has been exported and saved as an Excel file, if I modify my drawing, for example, added an item, the change is also reflected in my Excel file. Nasli, that's a great question. So Bluebeam, it does come with a tool called Quantity Link, where you can, and we are running up against our time, but just real quick, if I right click here, I select Quantity Link over here for my Bluebeam plugin. I hit create. It asks me which file I want to link to it. Let me use this floor plan document. I'm trying to go real quick. So I hit OK. It's going to open the document. It's going to ask me or select a region containing the markups. Let me. Oh, you know what? I don't think it worked because I was in the quantity. Here it is, the create link. There it is. So now it's asking me which measurements I want to take. So yes, it can be done with the quantity link. And that brings us to 1 o'clock. Thank you all so much for joining us. I love all of your questions. If you have any more, shoot us an email. I'm happy to help.